Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome to the trip. It is the Sunday's the Monday after the last game of the season. The season is over, and before we get started, I'd like to say our thoughts are with those that were at the Liverpool parade and had that craziness happening there. Hopefully, everybody is able to recover from that quickly and with less pain. Also, it was a good weekend as well for Arsenal. The women um, won the Champions League, which you told me at the beginning of the season that's what they were going to do. I would be surprised. I wasn't even thinking that far ahead, but that's where we are. But we'll get going. And Tony, I'll let you. Tony joins me. I don't know if Spencer will be joining me. We shall see. But Tony, welcome to the show.
Hey, Gary.
Hello.
Glad at this point that nobody's died from
Yeah.
the car
Yeah.
gone wild.
Yep. Yep. So
I,
craziness
I,
happening.
I learned Saturday when you do a 2 hour and 3 minute watch along by yourself. It's even worse when 150 minutes of it isn't recorded or live.
Oh no. Oh,
So
boy.
only 13 minutes hit the
Oh,
airways.
oh no. Oh. Uh, all right. So here we
That's
go
what
with that.
happens when you're by yourself.
Oh man. You gotta look at that. They gotta look at that button, man. All right, so here we go. That's what I have on the on StreamYard. You have the ability. The show starts. You click the start button, and it does the video for me. So I know that it's live.
Yeah,
But
what happened to me is okay.
before we go on, welcome. They're a member of the group. Got Spencer in the house, and you can see Spencer is already in Christmas spirit.
Yeah, happy Memorial Day, everybody. How's everybody doing?
There you go. Okay, so it's not a Christmas spirit; it's a Memorial Day spirit, I guess.
Yeah,
I'm doing good
I
here.
didn't turn them on. She turned them on. Your guess is as good as mine why they're on. So.
Oh, yeah. Now we were just talking here. As you know, the Liverpool parade because got had some craziness happen there. So just hoping those people are the people that were in the middle of all of that get out of it with the least amount of pain as possible. So
yeah, well, hopefully everybody's all right.
Yep, yep. So we got Steven in the house. Welcome to the show, Steven. Says, hey, y'all. Yep, shocking news in Liverpool. That's crazy. It is crazy. There's crazy people in this world. You got Miss Melina in the house. Thoughts and prayers for all those affected by the Liverpool attacks. Really horrifying situation. Yeah, I wasn't. I typically try not to watch those things, but I clicked on the video and saw that it was. Yeah, it's crazy, 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 crazy. Got BX Gunner in the house. Says, greetings, everyone. Everybody with their saying hello back and forth. And BX Gunner says it's unacceptable to cancel show times. Yeah, yeah. I want to do the shows, but we got stuff to do as well. I wish I was I have, yeah, my nephew's team. I went and watched them play. I actually watched them play 2 days, and they actually won the conference championship. So now they get to go and play in the postseason playoffs. Interesting enough, they're in the same group as the Florida Gators. So there you go.
Gary's gonna be
yeah. So if the Gators lose to his team, then you know what? So be it. But yeah, they are the. I think they are the third or fourth seed. Gators are the second. So it's supposed to go. We'll see how that plays out. Got Jordan Hyman in the house. Welcome to the show, Jordan. He says, "Welcome to the show." Yes. Got Tiger and Gunnar in the house. Oh man, there we are. We're moving up. I'm not making a joke of the situation. My first thought was that it was. Yeah, no. There's a lot of people thinking it was a rival. So that was a crazy part. So yeah, no, I don't. I just let people enjoy themselves is what I say. Tony thinks they shouldn't celebrate when they win something. What
I'm saying not large crowds anymore. Just what's
should
the point of doing it?
the Gators, the Arsenal women celebrated today? They should be able to celebrate in peace. Everybody's there for the same reason. Team goes out there and does the job. Should be able to go celebrate there without worrying about a car running into you, driving through you. Got Chris Nix in the house. Welcome to the show, Chris Nix. Yeah. No, typically the only time I miss a show is if I've got family business. So usually the times I do the shows, I usually try not to affect what's going on in the family these days. So just back from Sydney. Oh, you know what? Where are you? So if you're back from Sydney, I always thought you were. Where are you?
It could be somewhere else in Australia.
He's in Western
You said
Australia,
Sydney,
I
but
believe.
is it West Australia? Where is it?
Western
He's
Australia,
Melbourne.
I
Western.
believe.
Okay. All right. Tiger and
I'm
Gunner.
just making this up as I go, but I think it's
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Like we said, our thoughts are with those. Hopefully they get what they need and they move on there. The women, though, went into that Barcelona game. We'll go to that one first because that was really good to see. I think I watched that from the. I watched that from the baseball stadium. Oh, he's from Perth in Western. There you go, Perth in Western Australia. All right,
40-hour drive.
40-hour drive.
Yeah.
Hopefully, wonder did you drive or did you fly? Tiger and Gunner. Hopefully you flew. 40-hour drive. Nah.
Does it really take 40 hours to get across Australia?
Well, that's one part of it. I mean,
maybe there's no. You know what? It's probably because they don't necessarily. Maybe they don't have highways and stuff. You know what I mean? It's not
a flight.
Australians love cars. They can fix cars to do anything, right?
If you fly from Sydney to Perth, it takes 5 hours.
Yeah, so I mean that
doesn't seem right, though, does it?
No, it doesn't seem right because it's probably driving. It's probably like driving through mountains and stuff. It's just not. You can't just take a highway and go 70, 80 miles per hour straight.
5-hour flight. And it's 3,844 kilometers. So how many miles is that? I know this is really riveting stuff and people are going to turn it off, but
I think I know 5 kilometers is 3 miles, so 3 kilometers is probably
1.6 kilometers.
I'm doing the math.
Mile.
So it's probably about 2.5, 2,500 miles, 2,500 miles.
Isn't that the equivalent?
California. I've driven from Maine to California, and it's just under 2,000, I believe.
Yeah, it's 2,300 miles.
Oh, is it?
So basically, from Perth to Sydney is probably the equivalent of going from like Virginia to California.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you know what? It's probably no highways. Like I said, it's probably no highways, and it's probably, it's like driving through the mountains. You can't.
You got to drive down yonder to get there.
Yeah.
Good day, mate.
You gotta go through mountain ranges and stuff. You don't just drive through mountain ranges. You gotta zigzag.
You have to dodge boomerangs and
bring back the Concorde jet. Yeah, why not?
Virgin they keep Australia. All these companies keep trying to do it, but scientists aren't smart enough to make things do the same thing they did 50 years ago.
Yeah, I remember Phil Collins did. He took the Concorde. You guys remember like Live Aid? So he started off in England, did Live Aid, and then he took the Concorde into, I think it was, of course, New York probably, and finished off Live Aid. So he opened and closed, if I remember.
But, I always wanted to fly on an SR-71.
Yeah, I don't know what that means.
It's a spy plane, Gary.
Spy plane. Oh, you mean the one that's like in
the West?
Is that the one that Clint Eastwood flew in?
No, that's the one the guy got shot down over Russia in the 70s.
Oh, okay. I thought it was the one that, because what was the one that what was one that Clint Eastwood was flying in? You don't remember? I think he had to leave. Huh?
That was a movie.
That wasn't real?
No, I don't think so. It really happened.
All right, let's get into some sports then. Sports talk. The women, like I said, I got to watch the game for the women at the baseball field. It was everybody thought Barcelona was going to be able to run away with it, but they forgot that there's something called defense as well. I think Arsenal was happy to keep it close, like they should. They don't have as many. They don't have the attackers and the midfielders like Barcelona did. But you know what? They had a plan. It worked, and they were able to get a goal late. From in my eyes, an unlikely source of source. Blackstenius with the goal. Very nice goal. I think she actually missed one earlier before that, but she was able to put one away, and Arsenal got the one goal they needed, and that's it. Barcelona came in looking for their third in a row. Arsenal said, "You know what? It's time for us to get our second, and it's time for us to get the second for England." So there you go. Very good. I don't know. Did you guys watch any of that women's game? Yeah,
I kind of
watched the playoff final.
I followed along on ESPN, but other than that, I didn't watch it.
Yeah, and I definitely put on a master class of defense. And I listened to a lot of the after match interviews, and basically that's what they were saying. They had a game plan to stop Barcelona, and it worked, of course. I mean, SR-71 Blackbird. Wow, okay. Yep. And you know what? Beast Gunner. Yep. The women did that to get their second trophy, and surprisingly, a manager with less than a year there. I didn't even realize Renee was in the academy. She was in the women's academy, when the women won their first Champions League. And now she's managed them to their second. So there you go. Yeah, it's probably a difference between her and Jonas. She had a little bit. She's loved to that. So, yeah. It just Barca, but Leon as well. Well, they beat Barcelona. They beat Leon. They beat Bayern Munich. Right? I don't think when we were playing Bayern Munich, everybody thought we would actually get out the group, but we did. Well, since you guys didn't see it, we'll move on. We've got probably a lot of stuff we can talk about that you probably do know a little bit about.
This is your show, Gary. We can listen.
No, that's all I have on the.
You want to talk about the playoff final in Sunderland?
No? You know what? Did I actually watch that? Did you guys watch that?
Yeah, I watched.
I don't think I watched. I didn't watch that because I was driving. I was traveling. So you guys tell me about that. I did see that Sheffield United went up 1-0, and I think at that point you're thinking they probably going to run away with this thing, right?
First, I don't know if you watched it, Tony. I'm not sure, but
no, I didn't watch it.
First half, Sheffield United scored, and then there was a goal. I think about 30-something minute, and it got chalked offside. There was a Sheffield United offensive player that was right in front of the goalkeeper blocking the vision, so they called that an offside position. I think it was the right call. But then the second half happened, and then Sunderland kind of turned it on, and they scored to tie it up 1-1 about the 70th minute, and then they scored in extra time. The 90th minute, 95th minute, shall we say, of extra time to save us having to watch Sheffield United next year. So Sunderland is back. So if you haven't seen the Sunderland Netflix documentary, go watch that and you'll see them next season. So
I know a lot of
people. The guy that scored it, he's actually committed to Brighton. So he's moving on.
There you go. Well, I know a lot of people are happy to see Sunderland go through and not Sheffield United. So I don't know the rivalry there, but sounds like some people personally I can't be happy for anybody getting anything. What about you guys? Right? That's like me asking you. You're okay? Are you okay if South Carolina wins anything or the Raiders win anything?
But again, Sunderland's not my rival. I always like watching the playoff final. I don't
know. I get that, but I'm just saying, would you like Raiders or South Carolina to win something?
Things like
no, it's not. Yeah, it actually is not. It is. We were watching a game, and you have a favorite in the sport. Do you like it if your rival won something? Is what I said.
But Sunderland is not my rival, so the two things are different.
No.
It's more northern teams. Tiger and Gunnar just said
I'm talking about like Arsenal fans were happy to see.
Why would I wouldn't root for Tottenham to win anything or Man United to win anything.
Yeah, I don't want anybody to win anything. It don't matter if they're rivals or not.
So you
like
hold on.
When
So
Clemson loses, I'm happy. I want to laugh at you.
Hold on. When you were at your nephew's baseball game, did you root for them to win?
I did.
But he's not Florida.
True, but that's family. Oh, it's big difference. It's big difference. Like my daughter went to USD. I don't know. I didn't know anything about USD until she got there, right? But I want them.
I just know USD stands for US dollar. I just enjoy the playoff final. I find it really. It's the epitome of a story of one team's going up, another team's waffling again in the championship for another potentially 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, that's the tough part about that. Yeah,
but
when the Premier League, before the Premier League, was the playoff there as well. When there's more teams in the first division.
Are you talking about the 22 teams?
Yeah. Before 1992.
I was 5. Sorry, Tony. I don't remember that.
Oh, Gary, man. When you say you're like saying you're 5, I'm like, got it. I was 5, but I don't know what was going on. I was in England, but I can't tell you who was playing. Tony doesn't know what he's talking about. He just read it.
I just like the playoff final. I like watching them.
Yeah, no, it's good. You know, if I would have watched it, but like I said, I was in a car driving, so
we would have streamed it. We would have been here on Saturday on the trip streaming it.
Yeah, and BX Skinner wouldn't have been mad at me. So Sunderland, Newcastle, the big derby in the Northeast. Yeah, Kelly is. Oh, please stay. Yeah. No, they definitely would. It'd be nice to have her back.
I will say this: the 3 teams that are coming up. I mean, Burnley already went down once, but Leeds, Sunderland, Burnley. It's going to be interesting to see what their dynamic is coming up, and who's going to be the pressure and who's going to be the relegation form teams. I mean, as of right now, it's United and Tottenham, but
Tottenham's getting an injection of Champions League. That's still the craziest freaking thing. You finish 17th in the league, but you go to the Champions League.
Yeah.
I mean, that's an interesting discussion because I've actually was talking to Sam about this, and I mean, I've seen people I think I was watching the club, and when I found out it happened, and Rory Jennings is making it to be this big deal, and it is a big deal. It's a European trophy, whatever. But I mean, look at the semifinals this year versus the semifinals in past year. I mean, there was no Champions League teams dropped down in the competition, which again, I wonder if it was ever right to have Champions League team get a second crack at things.
I always hated them parachuting into it.
Yeah, I mean, so you're still going to we're still giving Tottenham credit for winning whatever, cool, great. But I just wonder if the Europa League has been mismanaged for the last 10, 15 years of adding Champions League failure clubs to drop in there to get another opportunity. I don't know if that was ever the right move, just my opinion.
No, I don't think it was. I never liked it.
And I think it will create more competitiveness by not letting teams fall down, because now you're going to get a team that didn't get Champions League now has won Champions League, so they got a little bit of a, necessarily chip on their shoulder, but they've got a little bit of experience, competing. And when they come up, like you're expecting the same things from the promoted teams to come up and maybe compete, right? Same thing you would with a team that actually won their way into the Champions League, right? So, I think it will create, teams, because teams will get there and then get back, maybe get knocked back down, but then it builds a stronger team in the long term for me. So I feel like it'll be better, if not today, not tomorrow, but in the near future. I think it'll be better. It won't be that I'm getting knocked down to the Europa League and then, like you said, a 16, 17 seed team will win it.
Yeah.
Maybe it is if nobody else catches up to the Premier League, but I felt like Manchester United got lucky in games this season, like they did last couple of seasons in terms of, post regular play. How often is that going to happen? But didn't happen this time around. But they got as far as they could.
Yeah. So I think Steven brings it up. Letting a failed Champions League team compete in the Europa League is rewarding failure. I think that's right. I mean, because think about it from this perspective. If you're a team like Celtic, right? You're probably not going to win the Champions League, but I can drop down to the Europa League and get that Champions League money. No, I'm not going to get out of the group stages. Obviously, things are different now with the league format, but rewarding the winner of the Europa League with Champions League is kind of like awarding like a play-in. If you think about it,
but that's what everybody you play cup matches, and part of the winning is what you get promoted to the next cup.
Yeah.
So why not?
So I think it's a good thing that I still think. I think the people are out in force. Tottenham's won a European trophy. Yeah, of course they have, but I mean, Chelsea's got a chance to win one this week too, right? Against Betis.
Yep.
But it's a conference league again. Like I don't know. Is it what?
It's been a cakewalk for them in that competition too.
Yep.
I mean, I know we try to like. So you're telling, and this is the other thing that's going to be brought up. Like, so Tottenham's had a better season than Arsenal. Have they though? 22 losses.
Well, they had by winning a trophy, they had one. But
are you sure about this? I mean, hold on.
My thing. Let me tell you. Let me finish my statement. Then on top of they had a bet. They won the trophy. They won a trophy, right? Which is what everybody's striving to do. At the end of the season, you want to put your arms up. So yes, in that respect, yes. But in terms of like tomorrow, the next day. Like Arsenal is set up to compete. They're set up to compete in all 4 competitions next year, better than they were 3-4 seasons ago, where they could just barely play in one, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the chances of them winning a trophy should be higher than they have been ever at this point with the team that they have, and if they are able to hold on to Saliba and anybody else that's one of their top 11 players. So for me. Yes, playing in two semifinals and finishing second again, even playing as poorly as we were, is a good thing. But you still, at the end of the day, want a trophy, right?
So I'd much rather do what we did.
If we had won the League Cup, we would have said it was a successful season because we won a trophy, right? It doesn't matter that it's worse than any of the other trophies that we had a potential to win, because guess what? We haven't shown that we can win the trophy yet. So for me, that's one of those big stepping stones you got to make to show that I can't cross the line at the top.
But Spencer, if they lose that game, they have a real chance at relegation next season because they're that bad.
I know.
Yeah.
I mean that's the caveat.
So all that money, it makes them probably be a top half team. Or maybe a top 16.
If they spend the money right.
But you know what? The depth for me, they might be able to bring in some more players, right? But being able to play in the 4 competitions is not easy.
I mean, if you're sitting here,
about 8 games now instead of the original 6 that he used to play, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they had 22 defeats on the year.
Yep.
I mean, I think, well, here's where I'll do the caveat. And I would argue if Chelsea finished what they finished 5th and they win the conference league, to me, they had a more successful season. They have a better outlook, right? They've won a major trophy. They were already going to be in the Champions League. I just think you can make an argument for Chelsea having a better season more than you can Tottenham. And I get they won a trophy and that's so win a trophy and you get 22 defeats. We're going to be all like, yeah, we won a trophy though, guys. I know we lost 22 games and we were horrible all year, but I don't know, man. Like I saw people out in force, on Twitter talking about how it was a better season. I just don't see it. I just don't.
Season, and that's why I put it as for the season, yes, but long term, no.
Yeah, and that's 100%.
When season on season, they got a trophy. They did better than us, even if it was like Crystal Palace won a trophy. We competed in that. We didn't even come close. We weren't able to win that one, right?
But you're really not sure long term, Gary, because you don't know how they're going to invest.
No, I know long term Arsenal is better prepared to win trophies tomorrow than I do Manchester United in that team, right? If not, then what are we doing? Like if not, then something drastic needs to change. All right, and that's either a manager, a director of football, or the ownership. Because The players are going to be here. If the players are competing at this level right now, the way this season went, if I told you, we're going to lose all these players, but we're still going to have a chance to go into a final in either the, Champions League or the League Cup, right? Is it League Cup? Right? Yeah, League Cup, right? Then you know what?
Yeah.
Why? That's that. If you can't build on that once again, then that's the problem, and that's what happened to that team, right? They get to a finals of the Champions League. Everybody thinks they're going to be able to step it up and build from there. They never did. They never got anywhere close to a final after that, I believe, right? And that's what Arsenal has to do now. They have to take the successes that they had and build on it.
I missed were you talking about us?
Yeah, I'm talking about us. Like if everybody compares us to that team, saying who had a better season, right?
I thought it's what you're saying going back. We talk about us or them.
Sorry, what do you?
I thought I heard you mention us in the Champions League, or maybe you mentioned them in the Champions League.
No, when they got the Champions League, they went to the finals, right?
Yeah.
The expectation should be the next season that they're able to compete and get back there again, one, or at least be better as a squad and be able to still win a trophy and maybe something else, right? Beat another cup. That's what we're striving to do, right? Everybody nobody likes the word progress, but the only way you can tell where you stand is if you're better than you were the previous year, right?
I believe they were fourth again the next year.
Yeah.
So I would argue that Newcastle had a better season than us.
Yeah, if Newcastle had one, then you can say, you know what? Because think about it, when we've had those seasons where we haven't been able to, like we're leading the league for whatever 295 days or whatever it was, right? Mm-hmm. At the end of that kind of season, you would expect the team to be able to compete on another front and maybe win a trophy at the least. If you're going to fall flat and lose that opportunity to win the Premier League, at least you're competitive enough that you should be able to win a League Cup, maybe FA Cup, maybe.
Yeah.
Right. Europa League. I think at that point, we were still playing in the Europa League at that point, and we weren't able to do that.
I guess my point is that Newcastle finished fourth or fifth in the league, and they won a trophy. Better season than us.
Yeah.
Chelsea, Champions League places, potentially win a trophy. Better season. 17th in the league and won a trophy, even though it gets you in the Champions League, not a better season. You had 22 defeats. Yeah. They're not guaranteed when you go. My thing is this: with Newcastle's guaranteed to show up in Champions League again next year and play good. Chelsea probably do the same thing and play good. Tottenham, I mean, there's no good outlook for that team. I mean, that's my whole point about this. I think the trophies matter, but you also – I've just been around this sport a little bit long enough to know that none of those people are happy. Like maybe the Tottenham fans are happy for winning one, but they don't feel good about their team. They're not having a summer of, we won a trophy. They're having a summer of, okay, we lost 22 games. How do we get better? Mm-hmm. So that's my whole point here is that I think if you finish in those top 4, top 5 spots to get you in Champions League and you win a trophy, okay, I could definitely Newcastle had a better season. I mean, we would trade that, right? You would have taken a 4th in a Carabao Cup. I mean, I would have taken it. You would have taken maybe a 3rd in a FA Cup.
Yeah, but you gotta also think how many times has that happened to us where we're like, well, we're probably not going to be able to win the league, but the least we can do is compete in the other 3 fronts that we have that we participate in because we can win that. We can have an opportunity to win those, right? So, at some point, they're probably thinking there's no way we're going to get into the top 5, 6, 7, the way they were playing. But we can work our way up for these Europa League games, So,
and I do think that the future outlook though is there's still a desperation. Whereas like in the yesteryears, you could have won your way to get in Champions League, and then it'll just fall back in Europa League, right? And you could potentially win it again. So you've either got to finish top in your league, or potentially win the Champions League to get into it again. So it's not this like I don't know. I feel like these two trophies, the Carabao, not the but the Europa League and the Conference League, 5 to 10 years from now, we're gonna look at them kind of like the Community Shield.
I don't think so.
I mean, Europa League maybe not, because the prize is still Champions League, right? If you win that, you become that last team. But I think it's
but you're headed straight towards the toilet, giant turd, and all of a sudden you're in a nice bidet with warm water, and you got the air flowing and stuff. You're in the big boy competition. Where they at? Where at? They would got less than 15 million from the FA for finishing 17th, and probably the 60 to 80 million injection from Champions League. So
yeah, but I mean, I don't. But also, I feel like that team was better. Would be a better representation from the two teams in that in that finals. If they were healthy, they would. I don't think they would be 17th. They weren't healthy, right? I mean, their whole back line was pretty much. They had to revamp that entire thing. So I feel like when we were healthy and right, when we were healthy, right, and the only thing that happened is we lost the lever late in the season. We went, we were top two in the league, right? That team was sitting. They went on a big streak to start the season. Finished, after the first 10 games, whatever, sitting high up in the table. Injuries dethroned them, and that's the depth you need. So, can they continue to improve on that? They could if they get healthy and they bring in they take the monies that they get and they build a better squad. They can compete. They've got the player. They had a decent starting 11. They didn't really have a good squad in terms of depth.
That's our problem as well, Gary.
You had a what?
So that's our problem as well.
No, I mean we have that. No, but if you think about how this season went, we don't have a problem. I think there's different ways we could have coached things. I think there may be a few players we should have brought in that we didn't. But the fact that we were able to compete on 3 fronts this time around, compared to 2 the season before that, and like 1 out before that, we've gotten better. We're able to whatever we're trying to do, we can do it with the players we got. So I feel like we are.
But you see what happens when you rely on it too much.
That's why you have to have rotation. Yeah.
We don't have a rotation, though, Gary.
That's the problem. We don't have the full depth that we need, and I think
that was kind of my point.
If we had but if Jesus or Kai Havertz don't both get knocked out for the last 3-4 months of the season.
Jesus isn't helping us much, Gary.
Jesus actually showed something before he left. Whether or not you liked it or not is one thing, but he actually did come out, and he actually looked pretty good when he played before he pulled up lame once again. He had that. I mean, he was playing well in those games that he played in. Then he got an injury and he was out. All right, so that's his availability is the problem. He's got skill sets. I think we need better, but it wouldn't have been as bad, right? Kai Havertz, same thing. He gives us a bit of what we want, but we need better, right? I mean, we did finish second in the league with him there. Yeah. So I feel like, yes, they are not the best answers, but they are good answers for us. We're able to make it work, right? And the one thing that Kai Havertz does was he would be pressing up. He's usually pressing up there with Erdegaard, and guess what? Our defense up top wasn't the same. You take out Erdegaard and you take out Kai Havertz. We don't press the same. You see the difference when we press up top. It's a good thing to see.
So,
go ahead. Mm-hmm.
If I'm going to say this, I want to go back to the Europa League conversation, because again, I think what's happening now in the future of this, because obviously we have a small sample size from one season of the league, and teams not dropping down to lower competitions or whatever. Mm-hmm. I think the old system allowed teams to kind of play fool's gold, and what I mean by that is, like a Villarreal that's can't do it well in the Champions League, but drops down the Europa League, finds a way to win the Champions League, gets back up to the Champions League. So I just think, because here's the thing with Tottenham. So They're going to be in the Champions League next year. They don't have the ability to drop out to a lower competition. They're going to have to finish in 5th or better or win the competition to do that again. So I think there's going to be a point now where I think the league format, and whether you feel good about it or not, which I kind of do to an extent, I think Europa League is just going to be looked at differently, whereas I think the Conference League is probably going to fall to the wayside as far as the viewpoint of it, because the Europa League still has that ultimate prize of getting you to the Champions League. So there is some – so it's the prize of the Champions League is bigger than the trophy itself, right? But I just wonder what the data is going to look like in 10 years when we look at this stuff. That to me, that was a fascinating thoughts I had about the new system. And how many do we have in the group format last year? Was it how many? Y'all know off the top of your head? Was it 24, 28? What was it?
I think it was 24.
So now we've increased it by 12 teams.
With 32, I can't remember what it was.
36, yeah. So 36 teams, and then you add in the winner, that'd be the 36th team. I mean, I don't know. I think it's going to be interesting to know the data, how that looks, what the perception of that trophy will be in 10 years.
But that's like saying anytime they make a change, every time they've made a change in anything, that it doesn't count the same anymore. No, it counts the same. When the Premier League was what
22,
was it 18, 16, 14 teams or whatever it was in the old days? Does that not count as winning a league title? It does count the same, right? The Champions League, right, this year had eight. You're playing eight group stage games now. Does it not matter? Does it not count the same as the previous year? Like we changed these things, and then everybody wants to change like how much they're worth all of a sudden. It's just the Premier League is what, 30 years old, right? So on any of those first league, the first league games, they don't count anymore. No, they count. Everything changes, right? There wasn't VAR before. There's VAR now.
Yeah.
There's technology has changed the way the sports are run. Should we say that the players now are, and they're different than they were before? They're better now. I think changes are inevitable, right? And
change is inevitable, correct?
And it doesn't, and it shouldn't affect the level, the level of the competition that you're playing in anymore. If it does, then then we start over again, and this is the first Champions League that really matters anymore, because the other ones don't count anymore. That's like when people say that Arsenal hasn't won any European titles because the ones they played in and won don't exist anymore. And it's what? No, but it's the same thing. You're saying, the Europa League isn't the same now because teams didn't fall down into it. And I'm saying
it's definitely not the same anymore. That's
things change. But the Champions League is not the same either. And the Premier League is different than the titles that were won before that, right?
So the Champions League still has the same quality teams in it, correct?
They play totally different now. Before playing, you're playing 3 teams twice. Now you're playing 8 different teams. It's not the same tournament anymore. So you saw the teams like City, tournament. You saw teams like Real Madrid. They had to play extra games, which they've never had to do in the past. And did they make it through because of that? No. How many teams who had to play the extra game actually made it through? Not many.
See, Gary, you're using the Champions League as the parameter of this thing. And
I'm just saying that everything's changed. I'm not saying the Champions League. I'm not saying the Champions League is worse than the one before, because when they made this change, what everybody said, if Arsenal won it, it wouldn't be the same as the previous ones because it would be a whole group. No, but you're using that same argument to say you're using that. Yeah, but why does it matter? Why? No. It's a cup match that changed.
There's levels.
No, there's not levels. It's a change in scope. No, come on.
16th place Man United, 17th place Tottenham. Even she agrees.
No, she's saying you're talking nonsense.
That's Gary saying.
That dog's saying you're talking nonsense.
I'm not talking nonsense. The Europa League is diminished compared to what it was in the
past. No, but I'm saying that people are going to say the same thing about the Champions League is diminished.
No,
it's not the same thing as it was before.
No, and nobody on this channel is going to say that.
No. The same way you're saying that the Europa League is different now because teams don't fall down into it. It's not as competitive. The same way people will say, guess what? I don't have to play City twice. I don't have to play Real Madrid twice. It's made it a little bit easier now. No, it's made it easier. Right?
No, it's made it harder now.
If you have to play City or Real Madrid twice because they're in your group, It's harder for you to move on to the next round. You're saying it's not?
Completely. But if you avoid, no, I'm saying you avoid something, but you had a chance of avoiding them completely, correct?
You had that anyways.
In the league format now, you have 8 different teams you're going to play out of the 36. Now, you might, however that ends up shaking out, it shakes out. But if you avoided Real Madrid in your group and you never saw them to the semifinal, I mean, look at cup runs. Most cup runs are also, they're incumbent on who your matchups are, especially in the FA Cup. I mean, you're not doing two-legged affairs like you do in Europe, but my whole argument is the Europa League's going to look different in 10 years. Just watch. The narrative's 100% going to be different. Hell, in 10 years, we'll be hearing about a Super League format with the Club World Cup being the importance thing. I mean, the future, obviously it's going to change, but it's different now. Bodo Glimt was in the semifinal. Where last year, I think Roma, Leverkusen, I can't remember, but it was 4 really good teams that were involved in
it was Leverkusen, Roma, Atalanta, and Marseille. Yeah.
And this year it was what? Athletic Bilbao and
but PSG and Inter in the Champions League final. Typically, everybody thought, you know what? Based on what happened last season, City and Real Madrid would probably be destined to go be playing in the final this time around. Liverpool, would have been a surprise making it there, right? So I feel like, change is inevitable, and you saw the change in the Champions League, and we don't want to look at it like that because we consider the Champions League the top trophy to win in Europe, right? So then it doesn't matter why do they all changed is my point. They all changed, so the results were going to look a little bit different, and they actually did.
I just think that the parameter for winning the Europa League has dropped.
Well,
whereas the parameter for winning the Champions League has raised because you're paying 8 different teams. Where you're not, say you're in a group stage with 4 clubs, and you've got your 9 to 12 points. You can do whatever you want on that last game. Now, of course, you can win all 6 of the first league games and find a way to do that in the 7th and 8th game. But I think the league format, I think Champions League's got harder. I feel the Europa League's gotten easier. Still a major trophy because the prize is still Champions League. But I think the parameter for winning it has lessened. That's my argument.
I think they both have gotten easier because you don't have to play some of the teams you would have had to play in the same format. So for me, not having to play Champions League teams in the knockout rounds is easier. Also, not having to play the top, the top teams in your group twice is also made it easier. Like you have one. You saw what happened, right? Teams that had to play that played the big teams like the Real Madrid and City. Guess what? We only got one go at this. You know what we're gonna do? And we're expected to lose anyways, right? That team's with the go. People are expecting us to lose anyways. Guess what? We can go out there and maybe surprise them, and it's exactly what they did. It's exactly what they did. The Cities and the Real Madrid's probably go into that game thinking, I got this one because there's a little bit of mentality there that maybe we'll get it done. And they got surprised.
And that's why through like 5 or 6 games into it, you have this huge goal differential that it started coming down as you got near the 8th game. You don't have these huge differential in points. For the top 12 that went on.
Yeah, I mean the differential also with the play-in games from 9th to 24th, Tony, right? Is that what we're saying?
Yeah.
Because were those one-offs or were those two-legged affairs? I can't remember.
Two-legged affairs in actually 2 games. Okay. You're talking about,
All right. So
I was talking about the previous one, Spencer, where if you finished 4th, you had to play a play-in game before the Champions League actually started.
Oh, you're talking about yes. You're talking about the lower level clubs had to do a Champions League. I know what you're talking about. Yeah. Well, I mean, look, we're about to potentially have 6 or 7 English teams in the Champions League next year. Does that even feel right to you? It doesn't feel right to me.
No.
Yeah, just 6. Just 6.
He just said no again.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? When it was happening to other leagues, we were like, how can we get other teams in? Now it's happening to us. You want to give them back? What? I'm not giving them back. Come on, you earned it. You earned it either in your league, you earned it in the European Cup, right? That's so try and take it away because they changed the format. I don't.
That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
Stan's only a few years older than you, Gary, and he wants the old European Winners' Cup to come back, where it's only the teams that won the leagues.
Yeah, the true Champions League, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's all about the money. That's why everything changed.
That's why you have the Super League announced.
Well, they got the Cup Winners' Cup is all about winners. Only way you can get in there is if you win. You can't get in there for finish second.
Nope. But I'm just saying
the Cup World Cup are all winners in some respect, right? They either won the Champions League or any of the European Cups, right?
There was a reason
if you don't have the Champions League as per se and back in the days, but you have champions of Europe playing against each other.
That's why you have the big Spanish and English teams saying, day before new vote for the new Champions League format, let's say we're going to form a Super League, which is what they got, which is what they wanted. Originally, they wanted 10 games instead of 8.
Yeah, but the Champions League and the Super League and the Champions League, until the same teams are ended every year, because they're it is
you're going to be very close to that, I think.
No, but we're not there yet. We're far from that. Right now, there isn't any team that's guaranteed. That is, you play in it no matter what happens the previous season. It's not league play, right? I mean, they say it's Super League, right? But it's teams. It's just another league.
Sorry, Gary. Madrid and Barcelona are in it every year.
Yeah, but they got to win their way in. They're not handed it. There's nobody says you're in it next year, right? No, you have to make sure you win in your league or you win it. It's not given to you. You actually do have to perform. Your competition might make it easier for you, but you have to perform. You have a bad year and you may not get in there.
What do you think's a better league, top to bottom? Italy or Spain?
Well, I mean, you're looking at just think about what you just said. You had an English team playing in the semifinals. You had a British team playing in the semifinals. You had 2 British teams playing in the semifinal, the finals of the Europa League, and you got 1 British team playing in the Europa League, right? Yeah. Like what other leagues had more than 5 teams?
That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying.
But that's how do you compare? You compare when you play against each other, and you see how far you finish, right?
That only applies in other sports, but in
it doesn't apply in football now.
It doesn't apply in college football.
Well, no, but you played it. But everybody's playing. They're playing all in these European cups. Whatever team finishes.
Only Tony got my comment.
Yeah, I don't
get it because you SEC folks are like, we're just great regardless. Go ahead, Dale. I'm sorry, I'll shut up.
No, that's voted in. That's totally different, right? We're not talking about actually winning your way in, all right? So anybody agree with this? United, Tottenham, and West Ham. I actually said that word. Going down next year?
Probably not.
I can't see all 3 of them going down. I can see West Ham and going down for sure.
I don't see Spurs because, like I said, they're getting the injection of the Champions League money. Might happen to United or West Ham, not Spurs.
I would worry about Wolves next season. Wolves is the one I would worry about, especially if they lose Cunha.
Well, it sounds like they're definitely going to use Cunha.
Yeah, it sounds like that deal's pretty much done.
So United will get better. That team should, with like you said, the injection of funds, but they don't really need the injection of funds. They can spend money. They make enough money anyways, BSR and stuff wise. This is just extra money to build on top. They've spent poorly, right? That's been their problem. They've just spent poorly. You look at their team, the squad they've had. Not good players there coming out. Take it rest when you need to.
They were surprisingly bad last season, and this season that was just like.
The injuries hit them hurt. The injuries hit them harder this season than they did the previous season. I mean, it's always been injuries. As soon as the injuries hit, they had no answers, right? So, I mean, this season worse than the last one. But it was all injuries. They played well start of the season. Injuries started to click in, and the next bang, down they go. So this other comment here. Sky is binning ref watch for next season. guess they're realizing people are like, you're just basically showing how, I guess some people would say, corrupt, or
It's
how
inept.
incompetent you are.
Inept, Gary. Inept.
Huh?
Inept.
Inept. Inept is another word. They all work. They all fit in certain people's eyes, right?
Yeah, I'm tired of all the conspiracy spirit shit. It's like, no, Liverpool didn't win because people don't like Arsenal. Arsenal didn't invest enough in the team, had 0 strikers, no depth, nothing to do with the officiating.
You know what? But it helps if you don't have to
Sucks and
worry
ups and
about it,
downs.
right? It helps if you don't have the same penalties being put towards you than other teams, all right?
It's inept top to bottom, Gary.
No, but
rules.
it just seems to happen to certain teams more than others, right?
I mean, you're supposed to start the season with 12 iPhones doing offsides. That never gets implemented. They're totally inept group of people.
Yeah, well, they're not. It's more of accountability. Not accountable to what they do. So it just really kills the thing. Got Catherine in the house. Welcome to the show, Catherine. I did see you. Sorry, we were chatting here. So
it's my fault. I was rambling on about my numerous what ifs.
Yeah, and as Base Gunner says, we've never won Europa. According to many, we've never won anything in Europe. So yeah, what we got here? Go back to Arsenal in 93, 94, a cup double and a cup winners' cup while finishing down the table. We remember the trophies. Exactly. Yeah, you remember the trophies. So when you go back to those years and say, did you have a good season? You look at the trophies and go, yeah. You look at the League Cup, the league's form, not really, not all the time.
It's kind of weird. We're the 10th longest team without winning a trophy in Premier League now.
Yeah. I mean, that team can get out of the first stage. I mean, you just have to be in the top 3 of your, you have to, not top 3, but the top, 24, I think it is.
Yeah.
So they could definitely do that, But I just think their depth and stuff will affect how they play and in everything that they have to do. So we shall.
What it does help for them also is certain players that probably would have lost will now stay.
I think Romero supposedly is a player that they could lose even now. I mean, if he has an opportunity to go to, I think it's Real Madrid, I believe, right? You don't usually win those battles.
Yeah. I mean, they can't sing that stupid ass song about Ange Postecoglou anymore.
No, I can't say it about not winning anything. So there you go.
They'll still sing it at the stadium next year because it's a catchy tune. Though I can't blame them.
Catherine's like, we were the team with the most injured players. The only table that we finished first in. That team's injury crisis was not as dire or desperate. Yeah.
I mean, they were hurting on their back line.
No, definitely. I mean, we were hurting up top. They were hurting on their back line, and what keeps you in games, your defense. So it kind of worked in our favor that we didn't lose. We lost Saliba and Timber, for example. We would struggle. We would struggle if Partey was out injured. We would struggle. We know that. So, yeah. Now they were missing a lot, but as Tony will tell you, the quality of, or it's Spencer, the quality in the Europa League. It's not that tough, especially even if you lose players. I mean, think about it. They played United, so a lot of people thought United would be able to play and compete because they had more players with experience winning trophies. That didn't work. Didn't work at all. Yeah, we were able to compete at a high level with so many injuries. I think this offseason we need to get in quality rotation players in the front line and the center backs for sure. For sure. I mean, we didn't. We've gotten lucky again with the center backs in the sense that we haven't had to worry about them. Saliba has played all the way through in a season. A couple seasons ago, Gabriel played the season all the way through. So and Arteta finally decided to put Kyrgios in a position that he seemed to be more favorable in, and we played well. The only problem is I think we may have pushed him out the door anyways.
Yeah, he was supposed to win in the winter. He had a deal in place.
Yeah, so if we lose him, it's because of the way Arteta has rotated the
And
squad.
that's what I was right to say. If you're the new director of football, that's one of the guys you kind of tie up because you need that depth. He's good enough to be in the depth. You still need better, but you need him to play in the League Cups and where you don't want your starters at. So.
Yeah. Catherine says United will go down and that team will finish bottom. Best of the worst. We shall see.
United will stay up.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the thing though, Gary. Like you said it earlier when it came to Havertz and Jesus, we can't go into a 38-game season and you're gonna need guys 12 to 16 to fill out your squad. You just are.
But in our case, we needed starters. We needed a starting striker. We needed a starting left wing at the beginning of the season. We didn't just learn this. We didn't just learn that this season.
We know about the failures. We know about the failures.
But we need 14 to 25. We don't need.
But if you get a starting 12, if you get a starting center, you push Havertz back. You get a starting left wing, you push either Martinelli or Trossard back. Yeah. That's how you build your depth, right? Because we're not going to, nobody's out there spending 50, 60 mil on a player that's going to sit on their bench. It makes no sense. You should why don't you get better? All right.
The only thing I'll say is the prices are so inflated nowadays too. So I don't even know what the good market value is for a backup anymore.
No, you shouldn't be buying back. It's my thing is that's why you shouldn't be buying backups. You should be buying better players.
Well, no, this is a stage where Arsenal need to go and go get that world-class player.
But we needed to get that for the last 3 seasons.
Well, now we have a legit football director, so I don't know.
But I hear what you're saying, but we needed that before, right?
I don't disagree with you.
Hey, look, somebody agrees with me. Arsenal misfit. You're right about the press. It was only it wasn't. We never even pressed when Smart Erdegaard went out. And then when he did come back, you're like, dude, you're not doing anything. So our press up top helped us in defense for sure.
Yeah.
Rich 99 Arsenal, thanks for joining us. He's new to the chat. Thanks for joining us. Might not like it, but we are going backwards. Arteta doesn't even play a plan B. No striker in 3 seasons. It's stubbornness and arrogance will cost us. See even after season. Yeah. No, we definitely have taken a step back in the league, but in the cups we've done better. So
each his own. We haven't done better in the league or FA Cup, Barry, because.
No, but like if I told you you're going to go to a semis and the other 2 cups that you played in, that's improvement from the previous years that you've been in.
It's not 15 points in the league, 15 points.
Yeah, but I just said, yes, we were not good in the league, but in the cups we were great. 2 out of 3, we finished in the semis. You're going to tell me about the FA Cup, the one that we didn't do well in, and I'm going to tell you, but we did well in 2 out of the 3. That's got to be a plus.
Yeah, but the League Cup, it's still.
We didn't do anywhere close to that last season. We didn't get to any semis in anything. All right.
But it's still the earliest exit for 3 years.
I don't care because we did well in the other cups.
Domestic cups.
They all take a hit sometimes. Not every, like we just talked about. We don't have the depth to go into every match and win all of them. We don't have a striker. We don't have a left wing. They hurt us in that FA Cup match.
Mm-hmm.
That's what hurt us in that FA Cup match. If we had a legitimate striker who could put the ball away, we win that thing.
How long have we been saying this, Gary?
Exactly. Well, but that is the problem. We didn't have it, so that's why you lose.
Yeah, the United failure in that 3rd round was probably the most disappointing and most unacceptable, I think, result of the year, in my opinion, based on who you were playing, their quality at the time, and just, again, like it's
because they were terrible the entire season.
So we made improvements in cup runs. That's a fact. Like that's undeniable. Can't argue against it. But in the league form, it went down.
Yep.
And I've been adamant about my 4 reasons on it. I've got my issues with Arteta. I got my issues with ownership. I got my issues with the players, and I've got issues with officiating. But I'm confident in the next year. I think getting, and I think the only reason I'm confident is because of Berta. If Berta wasn't here, I'd feel less confident.
No,
I will say this much: with Tottenham winning a trophy, my level of patience for next year is very low at this point.
But mine was we need to win now.
Oh yeah,
it didn't even matter. Like that's why that game didn't really matter to me because I hated both teams winning, having a chance to win that. Because many people will tell you United wins that they're just going to spend more money because they got more money than anybody in the league, right? Yeah. And then if that team wins it, then they've got something over us supposedly, and it should look bad on the club. The problem is I don't think they see it 100%. As that.
Well, I think that was the point I wanted to bring up this week. Everybody talks about this is Arteta. This club hasn't won a European trophy since 94 with the Cup Winners' Cup or what? I can't remember, but. So this is the club in general's failure. It's not just Arteta's fault. It's the Kroenke's fault. It's who was before him's fault. It was the Wenger's fault. It's the whole club as a whole. You haven't won a European trophy.
Yeah, and everybody in the club should be feeling bad about where they sit. Like this is not necessarily a rival like Manchester United, but it's a rival in a sense that a local rival. No, they shouldn't do better than you. That should be the games you look up for. I mean, the only reason why Aubameyang isn't around. Started with missing the biggest game at home. That's you don't like take that game lightly. And for me, Arteta, the way he treated that game is not how he treated all the other games. Because if that's how you feel about that game, then guess what? When you're playing anybody in the bottom 10 of the league, there's no way your team should come out as flat as we looked in the last couple of years. Because it's the same kind of like. We're not losing to that team. Well, guess what? We're not going to lose to Burnley. We're not going to lose to Bournemouth. We're not going to lose to West Ham.
Southampton.
Right? You're not going to lose to Southampton. So for me, the mentality's got to be similar in those situations, and they haven't been. Rich, yeah. Let's see. You know what? City kind of rebuild, but you know what? We've been able to compete with them, so I'm not, I don't feel with our defense we should be scared of them as much or concerned about them. I feel without our offense getting better, we're gonna struggle. I mean, we played them this season, right? At the beginning of the season when we played them, we drew 2-2. Nobody was saying, guess what? City will have to reload at that point. They didn't think that at all, right? And it turns out they did. But they didn't think that in that game. The fact City came back is, I think, we showed everybody that they're not that, and then you saw what the rest of the season happened. We basically, if it bleeds, we can kill it, kind of thing, like in Terminator. All right, we showed a little bit of blood. PSG finished 15th in the table this season. They are in the final. They were the only team in semifinals that had to play those extra 2 games. So there you go. So like I said, it's very hard to make it there. PSG didn't look good in the beginning in the group matches, and they were missing players. So in some respects, they are not the same team. Got healthy at the right time. All right, here's a question for us, panel. Do you think somehow Arteta will change the next season, start playing a plan B better with subs, and get the balance right, making sure we have a striker and Saka backup has been 3 years without?
Nope.
Spencer, quick answer, and then you explain yourself.
It depends. That's a loaded question because I think where it depends is what do we see a good summer transfer window where a lot of players come in to help.
Right. So this is okay. So it's a 2-part question.
Yeah.
Will Arteta improve?
I think so. Yes, or he'll be out of a job.
And will Berta do his job?
I hope so.
So that's the problem right there. We don't even think he'll be able to do his job. That's where we are. Everybody believes Berta, if he's given the keys, will get the job done. None of us believe he's going to get the keys and be able to get the job done the way he wants. That's the scary part of this whole thing for me.
Well, again, I've always found it funny when they put the articles out. They've got a 300 million pound war chest, and it's like, how did you know this? Like, do you have that template for every season? You just put another number up there.
Yeah.
I don't know.
They were throwing up 100 million 2 weeks ago. So.
Based on the way the summer went, where I think I looked at the number. What was it? What was it? At the end of the day, yeah, we 25 mil on credit essentially. So we sold 83, spent 108. Right? We're typically a close to 200 in the net spend, if you call it. I think it's net spend is how that works. So
yeah,
so we did a really good job in the sense of making money and not spending a lot.
Yeah.
But I think it hurt us. We did a little end of season thing on one of the chats I was in, and I believe if we would have taken the 65 mil that we spent on Calafiore Moreno and bought a striker with that, we'd be in a different, probably better situation right now. Or a left wing, right? Even maybe an attacking mid to some degree. But we weren't going to change our midfield, but we definitely could have changed our striker or left wing.
That becomes a question next year. Like
that, what?
Who's the backup CDM? That becomes a question.
What do you mean? We had Jorginho and Partey and Rice.
Well, it's next season coming up. I'm not worried. about
this season coming up. Yeah, we might get Partey in. So there's Zubimendi and Partey.
Partey stays one more year,
and
then Zubimendi and Rice. You still got 3.
I'm thinking Odegaard and Nweri. Right, that's what I'm thinking right there.
Okay,
those 2, and then who's Rice's backup?
Some people say Fabi Vieira. Yeah, which is not. And unless he looks better, we'll find out.
Okay. That means you probably need to look at 3-4 position players.
And maybe even, if you really wanted to do it right, maybe Nweri is your backup to both the 8 positions.
Yeah, I didn't think he looked horrible yesterday. I mean, what I watched of it, I did the Memorial Day triple header.
I feel like he gets the short end of the stick because he's playing with Sterling.
Yeah, that's never fun to play with.
And it kind of hurts. I think it hurts like him on the ball. I think is great, but when you're not playing with if we're gonna make the excuse that Erdegaard, who is supposedly our captain, can't play without Saka or White, supposedly, right? Can't play well without Saka and White, right? Then Nweri playing with our second team can't be. Well, guess what? He doesn't look so good anymore. Are you kidding me? That kid is but that kid has got talent. We're not tapping it because we're not.
He's got talent, but there's no expectations from him either. I don't have expectations from him. He's 18. Whereas I have Odegaard, he's my captain.
But that's where I like. You know what? You're not doing it for me. Maybe I'll find it elsewhere. I've seen it, and nothing's changed. So, and you know what? He probably shouldn't have been playing those games.
Sterling?
He probably wasn't. When he came back, he probably shouldn't even have played. In my eyes, he probably wasn't ready to play.
Who?
Yeah.
Who are you talking about, Gary?
And Erdegaard, I don't think he was healthy to play, and we didn't get the best out of him. So in that Real Madrid game, that first one, the worst play on the pitch was Erdegaard, and it can't be. It can't be. It can't be the worst player we got.
I still think it's what he's being asked to do.
I don't think he was healthy this year.
No, I just said I don't. I said that. I said I don't think he shouldn't have played because he wasn't ready. He had not come back fully from his injury.
Yeah, that ankle injury was a lot.
I mean, the man did not want to take a shot to save his life. We saw him take a shot in the last game of the season. Probably knocked up on drugs or something. But otherwise, not a good season for him. And I don't think that there was part of it was bad for him to start, but once he got injured, I don't think he was able to recover from that. So, yeah.
I still think the coordination and the instructions and gives him holds him back.
I think it worked to some degree because I think when he's healthy, at the least he's given us press up top, and that helps us with our defense. Because sometimes the ball never even makes it across midfield.
How much better does our defense need to be, Gary?
It needs to be better. We lost. We drew so many games. Why? Because we gave up goals late in games. You know how many we lost from winning positions. We don't do that if we're pressing up top. All right. If we're pressing up top, Villa does not come back from 2-0 down on us. That doesn't happen.
You know how many minutes these guys are
We
playing,
don't
Gary?
we don't draw 0-0 to Everton. We don't draw 1-1. We don't lose to West Ham late in the season, right?
Oh, but we did.
We don't draw 0-0 to Nottingham Forest after beating them 3-0 in the season the match earlier in the first game. So I'm telling you, our defense starts up top and it helps all the way through from the
What were
midline
those
to the
scores? Hold on. What were those score lines you just said? You said 0-0 to Nottingham Forest,
Yep.
clean sheet, and then 1-0 to West Ham. What's the combining factor in there?
Yeah.
Scoring goals.
Scoring.
Yeah. Scoring goal. Yeah.
We need 2 goals a game.
Yeah, but we drew a lot of games, right? And then on top of that,
We
we're
score
drawing
enough goals this year.
Yeah.
That's why the numbers for Rice, Odegaard look as bad as they do.
No, but okay.
Front
So
line did not perform. Once Havertz
I
went
probably
down,
gave wrong
went
examples. I
down.
gave wrong examples
But-
because
Okay.
Liverpool, we should have
Hold
won
on,
that
so
one.
you're saying you're
We're up-
wrong.
I said it wrong. My bad. My bad.
But Rice was up by
2-1.
big chances
No, think about it.
created.
We're up 2-1 on City. We should win that one
Yep.
based on where we were and what I believe we had in ours.
Our time wasting is what killed
You know,
us in that game.
the
We had too many
Brighton-
people laying down, crashing. Oh,
Yeah,
I got
late in the game we did.
rest.
The Brighton match
game
when we were
now.
up 1-0, we should have won that. All right.
Yeah.
Right? You know, the Bournemouth match is the one. It would be the anti what I'm talking about, because if Martinelli scores that first goal, do we go down? Does Saliba get the red card? I don't know. A goal changes things, right? Who else did we lose to late in the game?
Well, the Brighton game, that's Rice kicking the ball away.
Yeah, and the same thing happened in the City game, right? The Chelsea game, we're up 1-0 in that. We gave up a goal late in that one. I believe Manchester United, we drew with them, and that was also with the lead. All right. Who else did we draw to this season? I mean, we had 8. We had 14
14
draws.
of them to pick from.
We had 14 draws, but I believe at least 7 or 8 of them are with the lead. So I think the defense, a perfect defense, and we don't lose all of those.
You got to score goals.
Games.
You got to score goals. If you score goals, you leave all doubt. If you put 3 past them, they can.
And what is it? Partey at right back. We win 1 out of 8. I think it is.
That's probably the worst tactical decision he's done.
1 out of 8, and he still wanted to get it in the last game of the season. I know Southampton, but you're kidding me, right? You're kidding me, right? You're kidding me, Rich. You got a lot to say, yeah. And you got Arsenal Misfit saying we went back to the I don't know what. I think Arteta went back risk averse again. He didn't like the fact that we were scoring so much, and I'm like, dude, you need to score more. Yes, we need to score more. We scored like 90 goals, and we needed to score more in that season to win the trophy. That's the problem. He didn't see that. He saw that we maybe gave up more goals, and I'm like, no, we need to score more. That same season we didn't score. We weren't able to put away Villa late in the second half of the season. We weren't able to finish off. Who is it? We gave up wins. We gave up draw. We got draws in that season as well because we couldn't score.
But
right.
But is it pressing so much detrimental to attack? Because there goes your legs because you're running all the time.
But when you're attacking up top and the ball doesn't make it to the midline and you get it back and you're able to put more pressure on them, which is what was happening when we did it well. They're not running They're not running up and down the field. The ball's. You know how many times we've seen the ball? The goalkeeper's trying to get the ball out of his box, can't get it out, and we're able to jump on it. Happened a couple of times, I recall. We got goals out of some of those as well. Last season we had Gabriel, Saliba, White, Rice, Erdegaard, Saka fit nearly all season. We didn't even get to Wembley. Honestly, chat, we have no chance next season while we have Arteta. I kind of hear you, but I don't believe that to be true.
We should just not play the season.
Yeah, no, I don't believe that to be true. I mean, we've gotten better every season. Nobody likes it. Yes, we've fallen in the league this year, but there are some reasons to it. We weren't playing with the full.
What did Arteta improve at, Gary? What did he improve at? Not the team. What did he improve? Did he improve team management? Nope.
So do you? Well, hold on now. Let's have this real discussion here. So, do you think other managers are winning with all these injuries too? I mean, it's just
I don't think other managers are asking their players to play that many minutes.
But he had answers for it, even though he's created that's the same thing. That's like the same thing Rhea, right? Rhea is creating these opportunities for the attackers and then making the saves. You know, we're happy he made the save, but we know he created the mess, right? Arteta's creating the same problems sometimes for himself, but then he has answers for it, right? I mean, Moreno comes in because he has no strikers. You know, he finally decides, you know what, maybe I'll play Kirior. Those two players did not hurt us this season, right? They actually helped us. We don't get to the semis without Moreno and Kirior.
Yeah, I mean,
but
could have made that call from Moreno.
Huh?
What if you had him the entire season, Gary?
I'm just telling you when he did. You're telling me when he made good decisions, and I tell you them. You don't like him.
He did the same thing last year. How long did it take him to put Kai up front? It took another injury. It took an injury for Mourinho.
But he could have picked somebody else. He didn't have to pick them, right?
Yeah, he could have. He could have done. I mean,
he could have moved Timber into the center back position, right? Because he had a Zinchenko that could play left back. He could have done that, but he didn't do that, right? He could have said, Trossard, you play up top center for us, right? He didn't do that, right?
He did it a few times.
So he could have done it, but he didn't. And in Moreno playing center at the top actually made a difference for us, right?
Yeah, but
was he perfect at it? No, but neither is Kai Havertz.
The end of a previous season, Gary. Trossard started 10 games. The final 10 games.
You're going to go back to that history lesson again.
Six goals. So
you went back to that history lesson again. But you know what? He don't like him there. We've seen it. So, but he has options. Yeah. Arsenal women qualified for the Women's Club World Cup. Yeah. So yeah, look at the women get to maybe complete the set of trophies. Yeah, I people are expecting it to be worse next season. I don't think so.
I don't know where.
I don't think so. Like if you don't think Bert is coming in to help us, then yeah, I get that. But if if he does his job, then we should be better.
I think it goes all the way back to the Kroenkes again, because they were perfectly happy with Winger, Dennison, fourth, because you're getting that championship money year in and year out. Then you have a blip where Arsenal gets 75 points every other season. That would have meant fourth.
You know what? That's crap. That's a crap point because we didn't get because we could have got 75 in another season and won. That's like saying, you know what? Go back into the 90s. You know what? You don't need to score. You don't need to hit 80 and 90 points. The things have changed. Everything's changing, right? I don't like that point. That you got it because nothing stays the same, right? Nothing has stayed the same, right? There were no cities back then. There were no Chelseas back then, right? You had to adjust and you have opportunities. I think we had more than enough opportunities to win. We didn't.
We helped jumpstart City with all the players we sold them.
Yeah. 6 signings at least in the summer. Liverpool already looking close to signing 3. Yeah, well, we'll find out where we sit. We'll see where we sit. Right now, it's still early. Nobody has signed a piece of paper yet.
Yeah, no one signed anything yet.
So until that happens, then it's not.
I mean, just because someone reports on
Arsenal doesn't they don't put their laundry out. We find out about stuff, but they don't put their laundry out. I mean, everybody has said it's either Sesko in or it's Gyökeres in. For the last,
I've heard Sesko, I've heard Gyökeres, I've heard Alvarez, I've heard Jimmy Hoffa. Yeah, everybody and their mom. You're gonna just, but again, like this, it's the Twitter rumors are Twitter rumors.
Yeah.
Until you see a player holding a shirt, nothing has happened.
Yeah.
But again, if you don't see Berta coming in, you're not a little bit excited. Okay, that's fine. I just agree to disagree.
Yeah. But nothing really happens until June when the contracts end.
Yeah. So and you're talking, Rich, about Smudger. You got I got a signed jersey here.
So why isn't that up on the wall?
Because I'm lazy. But but this is
your
from.
wife do it?
Huh?
Hey, honey, put a nail in the wall for me.
Yeah, no, I've been lazy. Or else I could actually. I have one up there, but I don't want to put it up in the middle of the show. I was feeling.
Maybe
I was feeling I put it up and
does
it crashes, and I don't need that. I'll put it up next time. But I do
You need
have
to do it. That's a really nice piece because you got this like you look like you're in a hostage room right now.
No. Yeah, it does look good. And it's got my quote that I say
twice
at the end of
if
the
you're
show.
free, Gary. Blink twice. If you need help, blink 4 times.
No, I hear that.
The boss at Gary's house is like the cat and Christmas Vacation.
Yeah.
Just hits the wire. First nail in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just again, if you're not excited about Berta coming in, I don't know. I mean, I've seen the Kroenke succeed in a lot of sports, so to think that they don't care is completely hogwash in my opinion. You don't fire Michael Malone three games before the NBA playoffs if you don't care.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and then they did make it. They didn't make it to. They didn't make it to the second round of the playoffs.
There's a lot of stuff with that.
So yeah.
But they care. The Kroenkes care.
I think people want them to do it at their speed, and some people aren't going to do it at your speed.
So. People want to stack like Chelsea. That's what they want. They want the Chelsea Russian mobster run club where you lose a game 3-1, you fire the manager. Yeah. And then you just go pick the next guy up and you just start it over again.
But at some point, don't you have a point where it's win now?
Yeah, I think you're at that point.
Yeah. But because I was asked this question earlier, do you think any of our starting 11 make their way out this summer because they're tired of not winning?
Not because of Arteta. Like that is
just not winning.
Again, here's the thing, and I say this: if these players had to quit on Arteta, you would have seen it when we were down 2-0 at Liverpool. You didn't see it there. They came back and tied that game up. If they've quit on Arteta, you would see signs. I haven't seen a single sign that people have quit on Arteta. People get upset about win the dog and all this other weird shit they get upset about. I haven't seen a single thing that tells these players have quit on Arteta. Now, your fans have quit on him, sure, whatever. I mean, you're entitled to do that. But I don't see those signs. And I'm telling you, I think if Arteta had lost the dressing room, they would have made a change. But he hasn't. They had Berta there. Berta's watched the players probably the last, month of the season to see how they're acting. They're on audition, too. They're going to go off on their vacation holiday, and
they got. Well, I was listening. They've got talks before they go on holidays. At least Arteta does.
Yeah.
So because it does. The league window doesn't start. I think until the first anyway. So they've got some time before you'll see players signed anyways. Is my understanding. So
I could see someone getting sold. One player I could see getting sold this summer is Martinelli.
Martinelli or Trossard, either one, both. I don't.
I would rather send Trossard packing because of the age profile, and I still think Martinelli's a player that I just like him as a rotational piece. I think he's a quality guy you could bring on. Go get yourself a starting left winger, and Martinelli's your three. We're talking about winning something here. You don't just send Martinelli off because you don't rate him anymore. But that would be potentially the casualty if there was to make funds for other players. I think he would be the casualty because you could probably get 50-60 million for him.
Yeah. I don't know about Saliba leaving this season, Rich. I don't see it, but I mean, I know a lot of people think he's going to leave.
I think it'd be hard.
I mean, the way he's finished this season off, he hasn't actually looked as good as he could, right? So that could just be because he's tired. But otherwise, yeah.
He's had a couple brain farts in him for sure this season. For sure.
After January, Canate can sign free for someone, and that's who Madrid are. They're their first choice, but they would make a move for Saliba.
Yeah.
But again, that's hard. Like, Real Madrid calling you or Arsenal calling you?
Nobody wins when Real Madrid calls.
Yeah, you're losing that battle 9 times out of 10.
Yeah, Tierney's goal. I don't know if you guys saw that yesterday. Really nice. good way for him to send off. We kind of, to some degree, we're like, yeah, Tierney plays. We should let him play. Give him some time. He's really good, and he does score the occasional goal.
It was good for him. I always like KT.
Very underused player.
Yeah. I mean, and I think only became a fringe player based on his injury history. He just never could stay healthy. It was weird.
I mean, I think Arteta ever super fancy team, or he would have got him in there. Would have went out on loan and stuff.
Well, then who signed him then?
I think it's more than the injuries.
It definitely was the injuries.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, it's only the injuries the reason why he's not around. I mean, like Jesus' injuries have hurt him. Like when he first came in, did anybody go, well, he's not good? No, he looked really good for us when he first came in, up until right before he went away for World Cup. Right, we looked really good at that point. Injuries have set him back for the rest of the time he's been with us. Right, so injuries are and sometimes you're unlucky, right? He's been unlucky. I mean, he's tore both ACLs or something like that. I mean,
hamstring issues. I thought no, he tore the ACL one time.
I thought both of them he's torn. So
you might be right.
Yeah, or he's torn the same one twice. I don't know what, but like he's had bad injuries with his legs. So Arsenal Misfit says
the last one were muscle injuries.
Oh, okay. Can someone tell me how god awful Real Madrid team made it as far as it did? I watched the 2 games and they were pathetic. If we had lost to them, it would have been embarrassing. The problem I have with this is though, like when we played Bayern Munich and Bayern Munich beat us, everybody, some people are saying, it's the worst team to lose to, but then they say, you know what, they've got the mentality, right, to get past you. So in one breath, you've got teams that have been there, done that, and Real Madrid has, at their worst, still beaten teams who were at their best. So, I think we just showed everybody that, look, they're not as good, right? And then everybody after that, you just saw how things played out for them for the rest of that time, right? When you see a big guy go down, you realize you got a chance, and that's exactly what happened.
So what do you think of that situation, Gary? Because as I asked you the simulations, we're always saying Arteta's a rookie coach. You can basically say Xavi's a rookie coach. Your experience, isn't it?
Xavi, who's going to Real Madrid now?
Yep.
But he's won a big trophy, right? He beat Bayern Munich to a trophy, and they won 2 trophies that year. So he's got some experience winning, right? Is that what you're talking about? That guy? You're talking about that guy? So you're talking about?
Yeah.
The guy he won the Bundesliga. That guy?
That's the guy some out there.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying that experience holds some weight, right? They went. Did they go undefeated that season in the league? I can't remember. They made it lost late, but I think they were on an undefeated. No, they went undefeated, right? They won their league. They didn't lose a game. That team. That's what you're talking about. That's experience, right? That shows a little bit of it takes a lot of skill to keep your team up for every game, a whole season. So I'm going to say that he's got some good experience there, and that's the thing. Team, Slot, right? He had experience coming in. He had won trophies as well, right? He just happened to be on a better team, and look what happened, right?
Yep.
So that's the experience that you get when you win trophies, and yeah, maybe they're playing in what some might consider an easier league, but the experience is, you can't take that away. Can't take that away. The same experience that Wenger had before he got to Arsenal helped him win at Arsenal. All right. The experience that Klopp had before he got to Liverpool, did not be able to get across the get that Champions League. He was able to do that with Liverpool. I think experience is key. Doesn't matter where it comes from.
Mm-hmm.
I think experience is key. You get lucky with players, but the experience is hard to Arteta hasn't had those hard times that people talk about. Not too many. And once again, I'll say it again. I repeat, I'm a broken record. How many coaches come into these big squads and succeed outside of Pep? And how many of those teams start their career out with Messi in their squad.
Yeah, there's facts to that, and then also, I just say look at the 2019 squad and the quality of the team versus what we are now. We've seen a drastic improvement. We've seen improvement.
Yeah.
That's undeniable.
Yeah.
Now, whether it's ever going to be good enough is the ultimate question.
True.
Right? Where there's always a guy that can take you and rebuild you, but who can really get you over the hump?
Yeah.
That's going to be the ultimate question. So, who knows?
Yeah, I'm going to try to catch up on these. I'm going to put them out, but I probably won't read all of them, guys. I'm sorry. We've been chatting away, and you guys have been chatting. I appreciate that. You've supported Arsenal 33 years, highs and lows, but what I'm seeing with Arteta is boring football, and he does things to benefit himself rather than the club. I don't know.
I have to agree to disagree on that.
I mean, like you said, you've seen 33 years of this, but you've seen it. A lot of that's been with Wenger, right? They didn't go out and get a Wenger, right? And that's everybody's problem. They went out and got a young manager. It comes with a territory that they're gonna struggle. So that's my thing. I just don't think. I think at that point it's the team. The team has, we're pointing our fingers at Arteta, but the team didn't give him what he needed. He needed better assistants next to him. He needed better players on the pitch. He didn't get either of those. So
I think for me, like when you look at this, like you have to look at things as club failures, right? I think that's the problem here is like there's a sector that, and I'm not calling Rich out, please don't take this as anything, but I think some people just, it's Arteta. Well, in the reality is it's Arteta, it's this, it's that, it's this, it's that. And it's a multifaceted of 5 failures. And even if you remove one failure, you're still going to have the failure from ownership from giving you a striker in February. They didn't give you one in the summer. So even if you could have put Xabi Alonso or pick a name, they still wouldn't have had their striker they wanted. So that's an undeniable fact. We can talk about Arteta's man management, and of course we call him out on that. Like, but the reality is the club still wouldn't have backed up your favorite managers you would have inserted in here. That's a fact, and it's undeniable. But
would how many managers would sit there 5 years and not sign a striker? That's not.
But again, but here's the question though: who's really in charge here? That's the question that we don't know the answer to. Has Arteta been in charge? Has Edu been in charge? Have the Kroenkes been in charge? Like, who's really making the calls and all this stuff?
That's kind of like my original question, like 4 years ago. Were they spending the amount of money they were spending to get into the Champions League, or did they believe in Arteta? And I can't answer my question still.
Yeah, so
it's like you shake your 8 ball and it says cloudy, check later, or whatever the fucking 8 ball tells you.
Yeah, that's a good. I don't know. I don't have the answer to that. I think what I see sometimes is.
I think it's easy.
BX just said he banned Abba. So the legit question for BX: you're okay with Aubameyang not showing up on time for the biggest game of the year? Because it puts the ball in the back of the net. Yeah. We're just gonna, it's no big deal, Aubameyang. You're the club captain. It's Tottenham. It's COVID. There's no cars on the road. It's okay. You're late. It's okay. There has to be consequences for actions, and that one's inexcusable. Your club captain was late for your rival's game. He deserved to be sent packing.
But that's not why he got fired. He got fired over a physical altercation with one of the coaches.
Again,
coach's name just never came out.
That's the club captain not showing.
Yeah.
That was so stupid. But first, Klopp had him at a left wing. That showed at Arsenal he was best at left wing. But then it said, we need to keep him. Here's $400 grand a week. Here's your $40,000 a game bonus. Here's the captaincy. And he persisted with him until he got out the door. Then Smith Rowe saved his deal, saved his career. I mean, because Arteta actually considered quitting around that time, November.
Yeah, because I remember it was really bad around that time. But again, this is this is the thing. Like, as much as we were all probably happy Aubameyang got re-signed, it was probably the wrong move at the time.
Well, if we knew what we knew right after he signed,
yeah,
for sure. But you don't re-sign a striker like that and then go, you know what? The same way that Ozil kind of was let go. Like, you know what? There's players that if they don't fit your model, you shouldn't be re-signing them if they're not gonna fit your model. That's what happened there, right? I mean, everything that he wanted out of his striker, which we've seen since then, isn't the things that Aubameyang does for you, right?
Yeah.
So and that's a miscommunication between Arteta and Edu. We re-signed a player for marketing reasons, and it killed the squad because of monetary reasons. Did it for marketing, killed it monetarily because now you've got a player earning all of that money, and you're gonna, and you're not gonna get the best out of him. So
Tony's right on that though, because Aubameyang played better at the left wing than he did as a striker. That's a fact. Tony's 100% right on that.
Yeah. Well, like I said, Arteta, that was all Arteta where he played and how he played him and what he expected out of him.
But that's after he gave him a captaincy. Before he put him on the left wing, which helped.
Yeah, well, look at our captain now. Our captain now has been the worst player on our squad right now. So, captaincy isn't really a plus the way we've seen it. I'm going to just go through the chat real quick because I've missed a lot of chats and I want to just comment on that. Slice, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us. Rich has left a lot of things in here. Sesko, perfect for our. I don't want Sesko, not necessarily for the same reasons you do, but I don't think he is not what we need right now. In 2 to 3 years, we might be going, damn it, I wish we had him. Because it's the Isak issue again, right? But I don't, we need somebody who can play now. I'll take a guy who gives me 80 GA in a season, and say, if I can get half of that, that's better than what we got today. We have nobody hitting 30 GA right now, right?
Yeah.
So if his worst season is with us and he's getting 30 GA, that's better than what we've gotten in the last couple of years from our striker position. You know what I mean? So. I think I'll take that. You had another one about, let me see here. I'll find your comment up here.
Sesko would be okay if you got yourself an elite left winger.
Yeah.
That's the only way I'm okay with that one.
Yeah, but Sesko, for the amount of money we got to spend on him, to have him sit behind Havertz is my concern.
Yeah, I mean, Sesko for the amount of money. I'm concerned about Gyökeres and Sesko.
Yeah.
I know I'm in the minority on this, but I just don't know if they're any good.
I'd rather take the risk with the guy with the 80 GA than the guy with the 30, 40 GA. All right, that's kind of my thinking on this thing. So, I'll take the guy with the guy who's 27 years old when he starts with us, than the guy who's 21, 22, who I still don't. Like we need somebody who pushes Havertz to the bench, not somebody who will see how this thing plays out.
I think my pick would be Ollie Watkins and even Julian.
If that's I already said Ollie Watkins should have been done in December. Take spend the extra 20 mil. You're going to make it back if he does his job. I have no doubt. Maybe we go a little bit deeper in the FA Cup. Maybe we get into the finals of the Champions League with a legitimate striker, right? But we don't know because we didn't do it. Would it have helped us against Newcastle? I'm not sure because we were pretty poor in all aspects of those games. But yeah,
it'd have been nice to have him.
Yeah, no, it'd be nice to try. And Wary's agent, we're getting calls. Yeah, I mean, he's still got a year or so before he has to make a decision. But not even a year.
He's already on a senior contract, though.
Huh?
He's already on a senior contract.
I don't think so. I think he can. I think he can leave us. He might be on a professional contract, but I think he can leave us because you can get a professional contract right at 16. So I think he can leave us.
He's already.
So I don't think. I mean, he could leave. He could say I want out, and Arsenal probably would let him go.
His current contract runs to 2030.
2030. That sounds interesting. Maybe he did sign already.
He signed his first professional contract in 2024, so he already chose us.
Oh, that's weird because I know a lot of people have said that he could leave. So
I think he still can legally leave one year.
Yeah, I think I know we'll get to this. Maybe we'll get to this before we. Oh man, we're already at 100 minutes. You know what? We've talked a lot. We had 100 minutes, and I do have to get up and get some sleep. But I have to get some sleep and then get up. Player of the season. Let's finish up on hopefully on a high note. For me, I had Partey, Gabrielle, and Rice as my top players. I know Timber's definitely in there, but it's kind of hard for at some point you have to make a decision.
You have to throw Ray in there.
You have to make a decision there. You have more than that. Who?
And I think Rice was so poor in the Premier League the first half of the season. Yeah, he just get him a Champions League.
Nobody was consistent throughout the entire season. So to say that they were poor in this part and they're bad in that part, yeah, I don't think you're gonna. I mean, outside of Gabrielle, who was consistent the entire season, Partey to me when he was playing as a defensive mid was perfect. Right back, I hated it, But without Partey in that midfield, I think we struggle.
I don't know, player of the season, man. I don't know. Maybe Rice. I don't know. Can I pick nobody?
Can you what?
Can I pick nobody? Because I got to think about this.
You don't think Gabrielle was the best player?
I think he was.
Yeah, he probably is.
Because for me, at some point, I thought one of the players keeping it together for us was
Raheem Sterling.
Was Saka. I mean, we don't do so well in some of those games when Erdegaard is out without Saka there, and then Saka goes out, and you're like, okay, Erdegaard can't do anything without Saka, and you're like, well, then there you go.
Kivior came in and played like we didn't miss Gabrielle.
Yeah, but you missed Gabrielle's leadership.
Yeah, well, you saw a dip in Saliba's form. So what was that attributed to? Mm-hmm. Playing with Kiwior, or
no rest, no rotation.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I'll think about it for the week, and I'll have my answer by next week. Yeah. I don't think there's. God, that's a tough one, man. Because it's like, who played a full season?
Partey played the whole season.
Yeah.
I don't think he missed one game. He forced his way out of one game, but other than that, he was pretty much available for most games.
I want to respond to this.
Which one?
We might not have won a trophy, but we released 24 pieces of merch. We released way more than that. But on the flip side of that, we were talking about PSR and generating revenue.
Yeah.
What's one of the ways you generate revenue? You sell merch.
Yeah, but that's part of the yearly contract. It doesn't matter if they put out 3 or 20.
Not necessarily
the same amount of money.
They do sell.
Yeah, but people gonna want to. You gotta want to make sure people want to buy it, and people want to buy it. So
there is Adidas stuff they sell, Tony, but there also is Arsenal Direct stuff they sell.
Yeah,
I know, but they have. You have the three regular kits.
Mm-hmm.
Then they usually have 2 practice kits.
Yep,
then you have 2 designer kits. That's the case.
Hey, you know what? If people are gonna buy it, you sell it, man. Rich likes my smudge. Alan
yeah,
Smith
I mean,
top.
I just think the wall just looks a little bit barren. Right?
Yeah, no, it definitely does. I'll get it up. Yeah, it's Gary with a A. This is Gary, Spencer, and Tony with you. Let me just see if there's anything else in here. Yeah.
He thinks we're more Arteta end.
Yeah. I'll tell you, I'm Arsenal end.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care if Arteta stays or goes, but I want Arsenal to win. And if Arteta isn't the man, and the only person that can make that decision isn't us, right? And that's hopefully Berta, and that's hopefully the So I'm more Arsenal end, but I'm not gonna. He's with us now, so all I can hope is that he does better every time I see him. Same way any player that goes out there, I expect them to play better than the last time I saw them, right? So that's because that's the only way it works for me. So I'm Arsenal in. Arteta just happens to be our manager. If he were to get fired tomorrow, I wouldn't bat an eye.
I'm the same way too on that. It was weird. So I actually watched Harry Simeo and Sophie do this random discussion on the Arteta in, Arteta out stuff, and it was pretty good. It was like an hour long. I listened to it while I was working, but it was like I'm not Arteta in or Arteta out. Like, first of all, I know the Cronkies aren't going to fire him right now, so I know that that's kind of like it's just not worth the energy to waste my time even thinking about it, to be honest. I'm in the same boat as Gary. I want what's best for Arsenal. If that means Arteta has to go, then Arteta has to go. I just don't know. I haven't seen enough right now for me to say that we need to pull the plug. I just haven't. But I also like the Orioles, who are shit, and I like the Magic, who will never win anything ever again. So I guess I am accustomed to dealing with losing a lot more than other people are, just based on some of the teams I root for outside of the Arsenal. So I'm just both the Denver Broncos, 8 years no playoffs, finally made it this year, but I'm more patient because I do think rebuilding a team takes time.
Spencer, you jump out of a plane with your parachute. At some point, you gotta pull the cord.
Oh yeah, naturally,
and that's not our decision. That's why it's up. Well, for me, anyways. That's why
I know it's not our decision.
That's why, you know what? If he's here, I'm going to cheer for him to do good, because that's the only way we're going to get through this, right? People are like, I didn't want him to be here in the first place. I always, we all, not many people were like, Arteta, yes, so we need him. And no, we all wanted
Ancelotti.
We wanted an experienced manager to come in.
I didn't want him the first time
to get this team back to where we wanted in a faster period. And one thing Arteta can't do and hasn't shown is that he can overachieve with the teams that he's gotten to get the trophies done. Sometimes he don't want to take the risk. He doesn't want to put the team in positions to succeed. Right. Like going to the second leg of the the semifinals. Right. We need to score goals. What did most managers do? They put in plays to help them score goals. What did we do? We switched out our fullback. Evan Weary sitting on the bench. He hadn't played in like a couple of weeks, right? Maybe you give him a chance, because we need to score goals. We don't right at this point. If we lost 4-2 on aggregate, it don't matter. We were losing going
that's how we ended up.
But we need to take a chance. He didn't give us a chance to do that. I didn't like that.
And that's where a lot of the draws came from, because his first substitution was almost always a defensive one.
Yeah.
I also think the club failed with Raheem Sterling too.
That was a terrible deal.
That's easily
that loan hurt us. The goal, both the loans hurt us because we had a goalkeeper we couldn't use. We had a forward we couldn't use. So you basically wasted two of them. Go into the December period looking for. You have to go in and buy a player. You can't loan one at that point because you used them all up in domestic, and that hurt us. And then we didn't take risks like we saw Villanova go out there and bring in a couple of players, right? Some on loan. We didn't do any of that. Would have Rashford helped us? I don't know, the way he played, he probably would have helped us.
Yep.
But we didn't.
I remember there were people in our chat. Oh, I don't want Rashford. That's I think the worst thing Arsenal fans do is, that's a reject from that club. Not always. That's not how this works. I still think
Havertz was a reject as well, and he turned out to be our top scorer.
Rashford would have came into this team and would have elevated the levels on the wings for sure. Yeah. There's no question. Considering Raheem Sterling or Marcus Rashford, who would have helped? The answer to that question.
Yeah.
So again, I think my thing about the Arteta out thing is I think there's a sector that wants to be right about whether he's successful or not. So what I mean by that is, I don't think they're more right about, they care more about saying to the front, I told you Arteta was trash, versus that Arsenal win.
Yeah.
But I think there are people in our fan base that when Arsenal lose, they're excited about it because it's one step closer to getting rid of Arteta. Whereas I've seen the discourse that it feels that way, and it could be perception more than it is reality. But that's why I think me and Gary, not to be lockstep on this stuff, like we've had a meeting saying we're going to say the same thing, a company spokesperson, but we want what's best for Arsenal at the end of the day. I think if that means Arteta goes, then he goes.
Yeah, this is a good quote from Rich. He says, Gary, Tony, Spencer, I will sub to your channel. Thank you. Thank you, because Gary and Spencer, it seems you are more Arteta in than Tony, but you see people's points big up all three, and us, man. I love the place. No, thank you. You know what? We can have discussions. We had a lot of people come in here that are Arteta out, and they'll tell you all the reasons why. And some of them are like, "Yep." Some of them are like, "I don't see it that way." But this is why we have this out here, so we can chat about it. We're not going to agree.
I'll give you something I don't do. I don't watch his press conferences. Because
I don't do it anymore because he lies to me every time.
I know for a fact I'm not going to be told anything that's accurate.
He's lying to us.
Don't waste my time.
Man lies. You know what? You learn when people lie to you. You're just like, you know what? I'm not listening to you anymore. You're just going to lie to me.
I learned that in the first season. It's like 80% of what he said was lies, and now it's like pretty much 100% what he says is not the truth.
It's a fact.
So BX has got Gabriel, Partey, and Rice as his top three. Yeah, no, I think when I put in my player of the season, I put in Partey because somebody had put in Rice, but Gabriel definitely was our most consistent player out there. But I think Rice doesn't do as well without Partey there. So that's hopefully Zubimendi gives us something close to that, and Rice improves in his game. So and Erdegaard is healthy because Erdegaard, when he's healthy, I think we're better. But if we're not going to upgrade on him. So
I still think we look better when Rice is up in the attack.
Yeah. So Misfits got Gabriel. He doesn't have Rice in his top three for sure. It looks like Partey number 2 for him. Yeah. You got it. Spencer has what is your channel? Did you put it in there already?
I can put it in there.
Yeah. I should put him in the. I should put him in the because Tony's got if you're into wrestling, Tony's got his wrestling. What's it called?
Missile dropkick.
There you go, missile dropkick. So you check out wrestling if you're into that. Tony does that.
Tony does it if he remembers to hit the live button.
Hit the live button. Yeah, Tony will have shows on, but he won't hit the live button until like the last 15 minutes. So you have to watch him.
I'm far too lazy to be consistent with anything on YouTube.
We'll see. Like I said, I think
Spencer, I broadcast for an hour and 15 minutes Saturday, thinking I was broadcasting. Nope.
You're just you're getting some work in, man. You're just doing some practice runs. That's what we'll say. It says he respects your points. Yeah, there's some people that just love anything Arteta says and does. I can see your Arsenal. What is great? Yeah, I don't think any of us were happy with the way the season played out, but I think we do. We can do better, and if that means without Arteta, so be it. In my eyes, I think Arteta has a lot. I think Arteta keeps talking to Pep. Whatever Pep's telling you, he's lying to you, Arteta. Yeah. Because if you're talking to him every week and the way you're coaching is not getting better, talk to somebody else. And I have no doubt Pep is like, I ain't gonna tell this guy anything. Do I want him better than me? No way. So I have no doubt that he's not getting the chatting with him is not helping. At least that's what he used to say. Maybe they don't talk anymore. Yeah.
I mean, I think there is a
check it out.
There is a world where Pep does view Arteta as a direct rival, and he ain't gonna give him any proper advice.
No, you know what? There's no way if you're like my rival that I'm giving you any information to help you unless you ask for it. And even then, I might be suspect, right? About what I'm saying. But look, we are almost at 2 hours. So I'm gonna have. I want to go. I want to go because I need to go.
Oh yeah, sleep, buddy.
And I appreciate we'll keep the show going through the summer. We might go every other week. We'll see how it plays out because I am traveling in a couple of weeks, so we might take that day off, or we might do it the next day or something like that. But otherwise, we'll probably be on. Hopefully, I should plan to be on every Saturday and every Monday. So check us out. But before we go, let everybody have their say. Tony, what say you?
Club's got a lot of work to do this summer. Hopefully everybody's fit to do the jobs. Hopefully Bertha puts everybody's ass to the fire, because that's what needs to happen. Still 2 empty board seats that need to be taken care of. lots of work all the way around. Players, coaches. Don't think we need new assistants at this point. And still, I mean, Wenger did it, but that was after like 15 years of having the same assistant. But it's time to change things up.
I hear you. Spencer.
I don't have any message other than enjoy your week. Cool. I mean, yeah, it's excuse me. Yeah, it's summertime. Just enjoy, everybody. Stay safe, have fun, and just breathe. Everybody breathe.
Yeah, we've completed another season on the DWTT channel. It's been great. I believe this is my third year or third season doing this. I believe third or maybe fourth. I don't even know now.
Third.
Okay, I think it's the third. I think I did I was on another channel before I started my own, so doing a similar show. But here we are, 3 seasons done, 3 number 2s in a row. Supposedly, based on some trends that Arsenal's had, we should finish first next one. So we shall see.
We can give you 4, Gary, to include your 5 that you would put out.
Yeah, true. Biggest Gunner says, thanks for joining. Yes, yeah, no, but we will be back next Monday. Hopefully we'll have some news on some transfers and we'll chat about. But as always, Arsenal always has something coming up, so we shall see what happens there.
I know we expect quiet. And it just doesn't happen.
Yeah, we might have quiet because I don't think anything can happen until I think that Monday when we start. Maybe there'll be a lot of news that day. Because that's June 1st, and I think the window opens June 1st for about 10 days. So Arsenal hopefully is ready to go. No planning. It's all about closing. Need to be closing as soon as possible. So everybody else seems to be close to that point, but we need to be there. But thanks for joining.
Play that boring song. It's closing time.
Yeah, ABC, man. Always be closing, man. Always be closing. Arsenal Misfit says a good show. Thank you. We got Rich. Good show. Thanks. I saw you subscribed, Rich. Thanks for subscribing. Like I said, we'll be back. You can check out our Saturday shows. We talk some football, but some nonsense. So we'll see how that plays out. And then today, the Monday show is usually just Arsenal. So we will see you on the next one. Thanks for joining. Over and out. And Rich, you hear the quote for me that's written on my top from Alan Smith. So pretty cool. Here we go.
Life is a journey. Don't wait.